Ricky has a question concerning the wide receiver position and who should be the leading receiver. Ricky's going to pin it down to specifically receiving yards this year.
The leading receiver in receiving yards this year should be Jeff Thomas. He's the most dynamic player. I mean, you saw it last year. He was averaging almost 40 yards a catch through the first 3 games. I mean, yeah, he's going to move around the formation. He's going to be, in multiple different places. So, he's not that 6'1", 6'2" person like Ahman Richards was, where you can put him at the X and then just say, okay, look, work it out. But yeah, it should be him. I think, tight ends are going to have a pretty good receiving season because they're, it's easier to see them in the middle of the field. I think KJ Osborne's going to have a good year. I think that you're going to rotate a lot on offense at the receiver position. So, your Mark Pope's going to get snaps, D. Wiggins, Brian Hightower, Jeremiah Payton as a true freshman is going to play snaps for this team. So there's going to be a lot of guys who are going to get, catches and yards. But in a perfect world, it's going to be Jeff Thomas because Jeff Thomas is going to use the Jets, and he's going to he's going to be 20-something yards a catch. He's going to be stretching the defense. He's going to be running by guys, juking guys, and celebrating going down the field. I mean, think to the North Carolina game in 2000. This is the 19th season coming up. So 2017. We're down at the half, come out of the half, double move. Malik Rozier puts the ball on him. All of a sudden, there's nobody on his side of the 50 because he's undressed a guy and he scored from 75 yards out. Those kind of things are what we should see from Jeff Thomas. So, yeah, in a perfect world, Jeff Thomas is going to be your leading receiver, and I think that that's a pretty clear proposition.
I could have taken that question. I should have grabbed that one. I should have given Cam a break. I could have jumped on that one because as soon as I asked that, I thought I can answer that one. I could go with the stretch the field, the 20 yards per catch. Mm-hmm. I even remember the North Carolina game and them coming out at halftime. It was like a 10-6 game. It was a pretty ugly game, and boom. And then I remember all the times, and Cam will more so remember them, that Jeff Thomas was open, but the ball was nowhere. He was spinning around trying to flag it down, and he was open, and it just burned the guy. But the quarterback at the time could not connect. Cam Underwood from State of the Utah and Miami football here each and every Wednesday night with you. We don't have a whole lot of comments. We've got all sorts of comments, the typical rhetoric on the line. But in terms of a question, it goes from 0 to 100 when you talk about the one question that's asked here for you to go through the depth chart at every position. Whoa. We're not going to ask Cam to do that. He'll be sitting here at midnight dissecting. So let's trim it down to pick a position that intrigues you and something that you would like to just dissect and explain for us in terms of a position that, again, intrigues you and where it stands and where you think it needs to be decided going into August camp and through that month.
Position I'm going to go with is offensive line. Defensive line, there's a lot of depth. And I think that the young defensive tackle, they're not necessarily young anymore, but John Ford is a junior, Nessa Silvera is a sophomore, Pat Bethel's a senior, Chigozie Naruka is going to be a grad transfer from UCLA at D-tackle. So I think that, up front, I think that both of those positions, end and I already talked about the ends before, but, you're going to be adding in a Trayvon Hill to the group already. And the up front's going to be fine. Linebackers should be fine as long as, the starters stay healthy and Patrick Joyner continues to progress as he transitions from end to linebacker. Secondary, I think, is going to be fine. We might be looking at a grad transfer at cornerback, maybe a KJ Sales. I know I've seen some of the from North Carolina. That is, I've seen some of our players tweeting with him recently. So maybe bring him in. But even without him, I think that DJ Ivey is going to be take a big step forward. Al Blades Jr. Opposite Trajan Bandy, and then I've said we already are going to have 3 NFL players, and Gervin Hall, Amari Carter, and Bubba Bolden at safety. So other players do not need to be taking snaps there. Running backs, we're pretty deep. Lorenzo Lingard needs to get fully healthy to be the number 3 back for right now, which is crazy because he's a 5-star in just last year's class. But when he's coming off an injury, he's going to be a little bit behind Harris and Dallas. Wide receivers, I just talked about them. Tight ends, I just talked about them. Quarterbacks, I talked about them. But yeah, offensive line, that's the one because their ability to play better is going to have a huge, huge impact on the season and this offense, because you can't run exotic stuff if you can't block. You can't run basic stuff if you can't block. You cannot run a 7-step drop. I mean, well, then again, we're probably not going to take a 7-step drop from center, but even from shotgun, you can't take a 3-5-step drop from shotgun to really give time for the vertical routes to develop if you cannot block. So where I think that needs to be settled is, first of all, I think you need to build from the outside in. So who's going to be your tackles? Is it going to be Nelson, true freshman, at left tackle, and then maybe a DJ Scaife at right tackle, maybe a redshirt freshman John Campbell at right tackle, maybe Zalante Hillary, a redshirt sophomore at right tackle? Who are your tackles going to be? Because we have a lot of guard types. Oh, excuse me. Woo. Woo. Oh, there we go. No, talking too fast. I was almost going to get the hiccups. So we have a lot of guard types. So I'm very confident, our interior linemen, if you will, guards and centers. So I'm confident we can find 3 guys to be on the inside, whether that's Navon Donaldson, DJ Scaife, Cleveland Reed, Corey Gaynor, even Tommy Kennedy, who's a grad transfer from Butler, who played exclusively left tackle in his time there, but worked exclusively in the interior line in his time here. So, I think we're going to give up any thought that he's going to be a left tackle. But, I mean, he could be a guy in the interior of the line, maybe even a John Campbell inside, So I think that there's enough there. So you really got to start outside. Who are going to be the tackles? George Brown Jr., transfer from LSU, was a 4-star recruit a few years ago, hasn't played a meaningful snap. Is he going to? Is he going to contend for a spot? Is it going to be Zalante Hillary? Is it going to be John Campbell? Is it going to be Kyleon Herbert, who's a 4-star from American Heritage? Is it going to be DJ Scaife? Is it going to be Zion Nelson? Who are the 2 tackles going to be? And when you build that, then you can go or find those guys. Then you can build inside. And I already gave you the list of names, but there's so many guys who are of a similar caliber that, I mean, Navon Donaldson's going to start. DJ Scaife, he's going to start. Those are returning starters. I don't think they're going to start in the same places that they did last year, which is why, I'm going through the whole thing. But those are 2 guys who are going to start on this line. But find a home for them. Navon Donaldson, he kicked inside to center from left guard after Corey Gaynor got hurt. Are you going to leave him at center? Are you going to put him at play side, front side, left guard, next to your left tackle? I would think that would probably be a great pairing, because if you're going to go with Zion Nelson, who's a true freshman, maybe you put a junior who's 6'6", 360, who's a freshman All-American next to him, if in case you need to help or slide or double team or something like that against, an A1 defensive end going against this true freshman. Maybe you do that. I don't know. But again, I think that, you need to set your tackles and then build the inside from there, because, if DJ Scaife is one of the tackles, then obviously he's not going to take an interior position. But if he's not one of the tackles, then obviously, boom, you have 2 guards or a guard and a center with Donaldson and Scaife. So, for me, it's really going to be offensive line, because they just cannot be as bad as they've been. That's just plain and simple. I can't put a more fine point on it than that. So, I want to see the offensive line. That needs to be settled. And I do not care who the 5 are. I don't care where the 5 play. I just need that unit to be better. periodpointblank.com in the story. So finding those guys, finding that 5, starting from the tackles and building to the interior offensive line, that's the position that I'm interested in.